Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever you are, whenever you're watching this. I think it is finally a time to have the second part of the conversation we started on lightning, of water and ice coming together to create this creative potential which is represented by lightning. And whenever I make these videos, I first must have the inspiration, and then usually a dream follows, which is my confirmation to share, to talk about these runes, right? Because skalet mata runa risi nema rather velkuni. Do not carve the runes unless you know them well, and I think something similar with speaking about them too. To speak about them with care. And so, last night I dreamt about this twice, so I feel this is a good time to talk about the elements of fire and what happens when Kenaz, fire, and its opposite come into harmonious complement. So, we have, if you remember, Kenaz, fire, torch, can also be representative of friendship. And we have its opposite, its reverse, its complement. Reverse does not always mean negative. Opposite does not mean negative. We all contain many opposites within us. Like me, looking at a mirror, I am seeing an opposite of myself. And what happens when the opposites come in together, when they find union, we get Inguz. Inguz. I'm gonna draw it again, hopefully make it look a little prettier. When the opposites come together, we have Inguz, a complete unity, a complete whole within itself. Inguz. Ing is the god of fertility, of sexuality, the sexuality rune, the fertility rune. But let's talk about this. So, sexuality has many forms and many expressions. And when I use the word sexuality, I don't just mean how you express yourself sexually, which is one of the forms. But sexuality is that deep, primal, rooted energy that is the creative libido, the creative force of life. In this lifetime, it creates literal life, it creates you and me, it creates babies. It is also the force that creates art and music and science and poetry. It is a creative force. And it's important that we talk about this because it's important how we use that energy and how we use that energy with each other. If you are surrounding yourself with people, relationships, friends, things even that are not in alignment with you, with that true primal nature that is your fuel source. Think of this as your fuel source. And that's why I'm using Kenaz and its opposite. Right? In this lifetime, we are trying to align ourselves and follow our soul purpose. And that is fueled by this energy, right? This is what moves us forward. That energy is what I'm using right now to make this video and talk with you. So, okay, going back, like the things in your life that aren't healthy for that fuel, whether it is people, things, situations, music, it brings the parts of yourself further and further away. It just brings it further away. And you become less and less yourself, right? You feel it. When you're not in a healthy relationship, you lose sense of self. When you're not doing what it is you love to do, you feel a sense of not being yourself. You're losing yourself to a job or a situation, or you're placating yourself for whatever reason. Those parts of yourself, instead of becoming whole, become more and more fragmented. Or they come into a formation like this, like Jera. Let's talk about Jera. Oh, this one has dots all over it. Jera. The year, the harvest. Something like this can also happen, which is fine, which is good, which is oftentimes necessary. Jera, the year of the cycles. The cycles, the seasons that turn, the cycles that turn. Sometimes, when we have not been able to align the energies, the opposites, the opuestos, we find ourselves in a pattern, in a cycle, turning and turning and turning and turning. Maybe you find yourself in similar relationships over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Sometimes you find yourself in the same situation, the same job, the same whatever it is for you. That cycle, that pattern. And that year, that pattern is just going to keep turning and turning and turning and turning and turning and turning and turning until you get the harvest, until you learn the lesson. The harvest, what is the fruit? What is the outcome of the situation? In this case, what we're talking about today, what is the lesson? What is the gift from this pattern? To break out of the pattern, to become whole, to become into your potential. When you treat each situation as, okay, what can I learn from here? What can I learn from this? How does this benefit my life? Or what lesson do I need to learn here in order to better myself, to better my situation, to better my life? When you use those elements as part of this sacred fire, this sacral potential that lives within you, that lives within each one of us, when you align that and protect that Remember, that is your source. You want Kenaz and his opposite to find harmonious alignment, because that opens the portal, which is your source of all creation in this lifetime. Whether it is creating a child, which is amazing and fantastic, or a business, or a piece of writing, whatever that is, that portal, when that comes together, protect that. Protect that like you would keep a flame alive, because that's what it is. That is Kenaz. That is the flame. You don't want to spread it out. You don't want to create wildfires. You also don't want to let it fizzle away. You want to keep feeding it so that it becomes aligned and it becomes this potent source. This source that, instead of fragmenting further, becomes whole and then expands within itself. So once it finds that meeting point, when Kenaz finds that meeting point, or when Jera finally turns until it becomes whole, the pattern has run its course, and you find yourself in Inguz, in total complete unity, then from there, excuse the drawings this morning, from there you expand, and you invite the things, the people, the situations, the jobs that expand you even further, that expand that capacity even greater. So I want to ask you a question. To what service or purpose is your sexual energy, your vital force, let's call it your vital force? To what service, in what service is your vital force serving? That's an important question. Feel into that. And anything that it is not serving, take a good look at. Is that something you still want to have in your life? The things that are fragmenting your energy, bringing you further away from yourself. What things drain you? That's taking you further from yourself. What things give you the ick? What people are bringing negativity? Protect that fire. This is what we are doing in this lifetime, is to follow our soul purpose. And it's okay if you don't know what that is right now. But the beautiful thing is that we all have Kenaz, and it's Merc stuff. The opposite. We all have those opposites, baby, and there's a lot of them. And so just finding where they connect, finding the complements. We need each other as complements. We need the other as a complement to bring us further into wholeness. Okay. One of you in the comments asked about how to, well, you used the word get a girlfriend, attract a mate, attract a partner. Let me reword that question for you. And I would ask yourself this: how can I become the best version of myself? How can I gift myself the life I want to live by becoming the fullest, most whole version of myself that will naturally attract the kind of partnership that adds, that complements to your life. Focus on that. It starts by being whole. How can we become the best, fullest, most unified versions of ourselves, so that whatever it is in this life that we attract complements us, expands our potential and our vital force energy? Take a moment to sit with that, think with that, feel with that. That sexual vital force energy is a gift. It is where our gifts lie. The sexual vital force energy is where we hold our greatest gifts. So, before I end this, I want to show you one more rune today. And that rune is Gebo. Gebo. Kenaz. Vital force energy. Gift. Gebo represents gift. What life are we gifting ourselves? And so, take note of what your sexual fantasies are. That tells us a lot about ourselves. It doesn't just tell us what we crave or desire. Like, sure, that can also be physically. But remember, our sexuality isn't just how we express ourselves sexually. Our sexuality is our vital force energy, our creative potential, our creative energy. So, what are your fantasies? What does that tell you about the different aspects of your life and what you desire in this lifetime? What you desire in this lifetime. What you desire to do. The kind of connections you want to make. Take it from that kind of more human, physical level and bring it up a notch. How does that apply to different aspects of your life? Maybe, I'll give you an example. Maybe you fantasize about orgies and multiple people and that connection of multiple people being together in love and in pleasure. Perhaps that tells you that you really value community and you value the well-being of others. That's beautiful. That's incredibly beautiful. Use that vital force energy and create beautiful communities, beautiful connections. It's not all about sex. It's about becoming even more whole within yourself, using that to find your gifts, being grateful for the cycles, finding the gift in that as well, and using that vital force energy in beautiful, impactful ways. Alright. Takk skal du ha. There's a cat meowing for me outside to let her in. So, have a beautiful day, and until the next one.